Welcome to another tutorial. We are going to look at paper 2 of physics IGCSE Edexcel. So we're going to look at how do you answer questions and what are the kind of questions that are usually asked. This is one of the most recent paper that was done 2025. So we're going to see the question that were asked and how students were supposed to respond to them. And now from there, you can be able to form a basis on how you're going to answer such kind of questions. If you're new to ProfLearn YouTube channel, consider subscribing so that anytime I'm going to upload more tutorials, you'll be notified. So we look at question 1. Candidates were asked to describe how the student could measure accurately the mass of a dice. Remember, measuring mass, you are going to use an electronic balance or a beam balance. But one of the aspects that you have to ensure that is catered for, you have to zero the beam balance. You have to reset it to 0. You have to ensure there is no drought, there's no fans operating around, because that may affect the value of the beam balance. Also, you have to ensure that the beam balance is level, is horizontal on a flat surface, so that the dice is going to rest properly on that particular beam balance. So another aspect was candidate was supposed to determine the volume of the dice using displacement method. Remember, we have this value here. This is 30 centimeter cubic. After placing the dice, it displaced some water, so the water level rose to around 37. So for you to get the value here, for you to get the reading, the correct reading here, you are supposed to subtract the 2, and that is going to be 7 centimeter cubic. For you to sit for this paper 2 exam, you need to know the formula for density, and you know how to use density. Density is equals to mass divided by volume. So since we had gotten the volume here, and then we are already told the mass, then we can be able to say is 1.31 as the density. Human hearing range is between 20 to 20,000 hertz, which is the audible range of a human being. That's an area that was tested in this concept, in this question. Candidates also were supposed to understand different properties of waves. For instance, here you were supposed to understand that sound is a longitudinal wave, and sound can be reflected, refracted. But light is a transverse wave, which can travel through a vacuum. Sound cannot travel. Sound cannot travel through a vacuum. Variable that is on the x-axis of an oscilloscope is called time, because on the x-axis we have what we call the time-based setting, so which means we are measuring the time. This question, candidates were given this black section of the wave so that they could be able to come up with a quiet sound and of low frequency. So meaning it's going to be having a smaller amplitude, and then it's going to take have a larger period for it to make a complete oscillation, so frequency will be lower. And you need to understand about energy renewable resources for paper 2. And one of the question here, student was asked to describe how energy is transferred from the sun energy store to the battery energy store. Remember, inside the sun we have nuclear energy. So when nuclear reactions take place, that nuclear energy is going to be transferred. So which means that there is a reduction in nuclear energy store in the sun, which is transferred through radiation to the solar panel. Then the solar panel is going to absorb those radiations. Then that energy is now transferred electrically through to the battery. Then whenever this electrical energy reaches the battery, it increases the chemical store. It increases the chemical store of it increases the chemical store. It increases the chemical store. This guy. No. Just focus here. No. Physics time. Physics time. Focus here. Yeah, so it increases the chemical store of the battery. So basically that is exactly what a candidate was supposed to have mentioned in this particular question in order to earn the marks. And advantages of using solar panel instead of using petrol is that solar panel is a renewable form of energy, and it can be used endlessly. It can be used forever without being depleted. So this is an advantage. Number two, it does not produce acid rain, it does not produce CO2, it does not contribute to global warming. So which means that we should prefer the use of we should prefer the use of renewable energy resources in this case. Surface of a panel is usually black, and the reason as to why it's black is to ensure that it can be able to absorb the radiations that are coming from the sun, because that we know that black surfaces are good absorbers, but white and shiny surfaces are poor absorber. So be prepared, be ready to answer questions to do with shiny and black surfaces, because these questions are usually very common. And then candidates were supposed to calculate time taken to transfer this amount of charge. The concept that you are to use is charge is equals current times time, and then if you make t the subject of the formula, you can be able to get the time to be 24 seconds as shown there. Then another area that you have to be careful and ready to answer is the question to do with moment. Remember that moment is the force times perpendicular distance from the pivot, and also you remember the principle of moment, that clockwise moment is equals to anti-clockwise moment. Guys, don't forget also to look at conditions for equilibrium, so that you can be able to answer any question that can be asked. You can see there is a handle, and then we have a pivot down here, and the distance from where the pivot is to where the spring is 22 centimeters, but from where the pivot is to where the handle is and the force is being applied to pull to open this particular gate is 70 centimeters. Then candidates were asked to show that the force from the spring produced by the moment is approximate 1. So we're gonna say the distance is 22. We have to convert that to meters, so that we can be able to use this force that was given. So we can say moment is force times perpendicular distance, which is going to be 5.2 times 22 over 100. I did that so that I can be able to convert. I could be able to convert that particular measurement to meters, because this was given Newton meter. But if it was given Newton centimeter, you could just work with the centimeters. State what's meant by the term principal moment. Principal moment, it states that sum of clockwise moment is equal to the sum of anti-clockwise moment. Basically, in this question, the examiner was trying to understand or check if you have an idea, an understanding on what we mean by the principle of moment. We need to look at further the force that is required to keep it stationary. It means the clockwise moment is equals to anti-clockwise moment. Since we had gotten the one of the moment 1.144 Newton meter, then we shall say now it will be 1.144 is equals to F times the distance now from the pivot to where the handle is acting. And then that force now we are trying to look for is going to be 1.63. Give advantages of this gate mechanism that, give two changes to this gate mechanism that will make it easier to open using a longer handle, and also using a weaker spring, or even lubricating. You need to understand also a question to do with electrostatics, and here we are told material that is a good electric conductor. It can be any metal. Then we can talk of copper, we can talk of aluminum, and so on. Explain in terms of movement of charges how a ball becomes positively charged. A ball becomes positively charged if electrons are removed, electrons are transferred from it. If you, positive charges don't move, by the way. If you take a material and you wrap it against another material, due to friction, electrons will be removed, electrons will be transferred to another material. So this material that you are having will remain positively charged because electrons have been removed from there. So that's what you are supposed to say. And here we have a string and a setup. You have a setup and a string. This guy want to write, so we have to ensure he has somewhere to write, and use this one to write here. All right. All right, so we have a string that is resting at the 5 centimeter mark. So what you need to understand, if a negatively charged material is brought to the positive charged material, there is the attraction. So which means that if you bring a negatively charged material here, negatively charged material, this ball is, remember, it's positively charged, right? So which means that it's going to be attracted, it's going to move, and it's going to show a reading that is more than 5. So that is basically what is happening here. Explain how the movement of the ball shows that the charge on the polythene is negatively charged. The ball moves towards the rod, means it's attracted. So if it's attracted, it means that the polythene rod must be having an opposite charge to that. And the opposite charge, since this is positive, the opposite charge here is negative. That's why attraction is. So if a positively charged rod was brought here, it means that it will be repelled. So we shall have a value that is less than 5 on this other side. Yeah, so basically that is it. Control variables for this experiment could be distance should remain the same, and also initial charge of the rod should be stay the same. Yeah. The experiment was done for that investigation that is shown here, but the student decided to use a bar chart and or a bar graphs because this is discrete data, a material, ebonite, glass, nylon. These are materials which are discrete data. They are not continuous data. If they are, if you are having continuous data, you'll use it to, you use a line graph to analyze it or to represent it. But this is discrete data or non-continuous data, so could use that. Deduce what could be concluded from the table here. We can say ebonite and the polythene are actually negatively charged, because if they are negatively charged, they will attract, and they shall have values which are more than 5, which are more than what? More than 5. But if you have values less than 5, it means those the rod repelled this, so that it will now it could be repelled and it will move to this other side. So meaning that that will be positively charged. Yeah, so if the rod is positively charged, then it means that it will be repelled and it will be moving to the other side. Yeah, so basically that is it. And the amount of attraction or the amount of repulsion will tell you the magnitude of the charge at that particular point. So we've come to the end of part 1. If you are new here, consider subscribing, and also check the link in the description so that you can be able to access part 2 of this particular paper. See you.